Discussion on verses 1 to 30 of 30. Various interpretations have been offered regarding the precise meaning of the opening verses of this chapter. Regardless of these interpretations, the primary message is clear. Allah the Exalted draws attention to the remarkable precision with which He regulates the days and nights, demonstrating His oneness and the necessity of obeying Him at all times. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verses 1 to 5.
By the dawn, and by 10 nights, and by the even number and the odd, and by the night when it passes. Is there not in all that an oath sufficient for one of perception?
The sun's path ensures that the earth receives a carefully balanced amount of light and darkness. This balance is crucial for human well-being, as it allows sufficient time for work, rest, and other beneficial activities, including learning and personal development. If days were excessively long, individuals would experience fatigue and diminishing productivity. If nights were too long, insufficient daylight would hinder labor, education, and other essential tasks. Conversely, if nights were too short, people would lack proper rest, resulting in negative impacts on health and mental stability. The durations of days and nights also play a pivotal role in sustaining life through agriculture. Crops require a specific balance of light and darkness to grow optimally, and any disruption in this balance would threaten the food supply for both humans and animals. The perfect harmony observed in these natural cycles clearly demonstrates the oneness of Allah, the Exalted, because if multiple gods existed, their conflicting desires would inevitably cause disorder in the universe. Chapter 21 Al-Anbiya, verse 22.
Had there been within them, i.e., the heavens and earth gods besides Allah, they both would have been ruined.
The moon also reflects sunlight, providing illumination at night and enabling safe travel across deserts and oceans, an essential method for trade and communication even today. Its phases regulate tides, which are critical for marine ecosystems and the overall environmental balance. Any disruption in these tides could have catastrophic consequences for life on Earth. Moreover, the interplay of the sun and moon allows people to measure time accurately, which is essential for organizing daily life, maintaining social structures, and coordinating activities across communities. The precise balance, movement, and placement of these celestial bodies cannot be attributed to chance. They reveal the design, wisdom, and power of a deliberate creator, Allah the Exalted. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verse 5.
Is there not in all that an oath sufficient for one of perception?
This verse invites a person to observe the universe attentively and recognize the intricate precision that sustains life. Every day and night, every phase of the moon, and every seasonal variation serves as evidence of divine knowledge and control. By reflecting on these phenomena, a person can strengthen their awareness of the oneness of Allah, the Exalted, and the importance of aligning their life with His guidance to achieve balance, peace of mind, and success in both worlds. After directing attention to the signs within creation, Allah, the Exalted, then calls people to reflect on the lessons of history, and by extension, the condition of those around them, in order to understand that true peace of mind in both worlds can only be attained through His obedience. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verses 6 to 14.
Have you not considered how your Lord dealt with Ad? With Iram, who had lofty pillars, the likes of whom had never been created in the land, and with Thamud, who carved out the rocks in the valley, and with Pharaoh, owner of the stakes, all of whom oppressed within the lands, and increased therein the corruption. So your Lord poured upon them a scourge of punishment. Indeed, your Lord is in observation.
These verses highlight powerful nations of the past, civilizations that possessed extraordinary strength, advanced structures, and unmatched authority in their time. Yet despite their material success and dominance, they chose to persist in disobedience to Allah, the Exalted. Their downfall demonstrates a critical reality. Worldly power, wealth, and influence cannot protect a person or a society from the consequences of rejecting divine guidance. On an individual level, their disobedience led to internal imbalance. They failed to achieve a stable mental and physical state, misplacing priorities, relationships, and responsibilities within their lives. This inner disorder inevitably resulted in anxiety, dissatisfaction, and unrest, even if outwardly they appeared successful. Their neglect of preparing for accountability on Judgment Day only deepened this loss, leaving them deprived in both worlds. On a societal level, their corruption spread widely. When people abandon divine guidance, they not only harm themselves but also fail to uphold the rights of others. Injustice, exploitation, and moral decay become widespread, disrupting the harmony necessary for a healthy society. History consistently shows that such corruption does not go unpunished. Even if the consequences are delayed or not immediately visible, they eventually manifest in the downfall of individuals and entire nations. These historical accounts are not merely stories of the past, they are enduring lessons. They serve as a warning and a guide, reminding every person that success is not defined by material achievement alone, but by obedience to Allah, the Exalted. True stability, justice, and peace, both internally and externally, can only be achieved when a person aligns their life with divine guidance. Thus, reflection on history reinforces the same conclusion reached through observing creation. The one who created and controls all things is also the one whose guidance must be followed. Ignoring these lessons leads to repeated mistakes, while learning from them paves the way to balance, clarity, and success in both this world and the hereafter. Allah, the Exalted, then clarifies the true nature of the test of life in this world, something the earlier nations failed to understand correctly. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verses 15 to 17.
And as for man, when his Lord tries him and thus is generous to him and favors him, he says, "My Lord has honored me." But when he tries him and restricts his provision, he says, "My Lord has humiliated me." No.
These verses expose a common misunderstanding. Many people judge their worth and standing based on their worldly circumstances. When they are granted ease, wealth, or success, they assume it is a sign of honor. When they face hardship or restriction, they interpret it as humiliation. In reality, both situations are tests, and neither by itself indicates honor or disgrace. Times of ease are a test of gratitude. A person is required to respond correctly by showing gratitude in all aspects of life. Gratitude in intention means acting solely to please Allah, the Exalted, rather than seeking recognition or reward from others. Gratitude in speech involves speaking what is good, beneficial, and truthful, or remaining silent when speech would not bring benefit. Gratitude in action requires using the blessings one has been granted in ways that are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. When gratitude is fulfilled in this comprehensive manner, it leads to an increase in blessings and brings stability, peace of mind, and success in both worlds through achieving a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly placing everything and everyone within one's life. Chapter 14 Ibrahim, verse 7.
If you are grateful, I will surely increase you in favor.
On the other hand, times of difficulty are a test of patience. This patience is not limited to passive endurance. It includes maintaining control over one's speech and actions by avoiding complaint, resentment, or disobedience. It also involves remaining firm upon obedience to Allah, the Exalted, while trusting that His decree contains wisdom and benefit, even if it is not immediately understood. A person recognizes that what they dislike may ultimately be good for them, and what they desire may, in reality, be harmful. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
Therefore, the one who understands the reality of these tests and responds appropriately in every circumstance, through gratitude in times of ease and patience in times of hardship, will remain under the constant care, support, and mercy of Allah, the Exalted. This divine support brings about true peace of mind in both worlds, enabling a person to maintain balance in their mental and physical state, and to correctly prioritize and organize every aspect of their life. This principle has also been emphasized in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 7500. Thus, success does not lie in the changing conditions of life, but in how one responds to them in accordance with divine guidance. But when a person fails to understand the true nature of life's test, they inevitably respond incorrectly in both situations, showing impatience during hardship and ingratitude during ease. This ingratitude is not merely a feeling, it manifests in the misuse of the blessings one has been granted. Such misuse naturally leads to neglecting the rights of others, especially those who are most vulnerable in society. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verses 17 to 18.
No. But you do not honor the orphan. And you do not encourage one another to feed the poor.
These verses highlight a clear consequence of misunderstanding life. When a person becomes absorbed in their own desires and circumstances, they begin to ignore the needs of others. Orphans are specifically mentioned because they are among the most vulnerable, often deprived of their rights due to their lack of support. This establishes a wider principle. Those who are socially weak, such as widows and the poor, must be supported according to one's ability. Caring for such individuals is not difficult, especially in the modern world, where helping others can be arranged quickly and easily. In many cases, the amount required to support an orphan or a struggling family is less than what is spent on non-essential comforts. Therefore, neglecting this responsibility cannot be justified, particularly when the rewards are immense and the opportunity is so accessible. It has been emphasized in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 6853, that supporting those in need leads to the continuous support of Allah the Exalted in both worlds. Furthermore, the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, highlight the great virtue of caring for the vulnerable. In a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6005, it is mentioned that the one who takes care of an orphan will be close to him in paradise. In another hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6006, the one who strives to support a widow or a needy person is granted a reward similar to someone who prays throughout the night and fasts continuously during the day. This means that even those who struggle with voluntary acts of worship can attain great reward through sincerely helping others. It is also important to understand the true nature of worldly possessions. Whatever a person owns, wealth, health, time or ability, is not truly theirs in an absolute sense. These are trusts granted by Allah the Exalted, and must be used according to His guidance. In essence, they are like a loan, and a loan must be repaid to its owner. The way to repay this trust is by using these blessings in ways that please Allah the Exalted, including fulfilling the needs of others. When a person truly understands this, their attitude changes completely. They no longer believe they are doing a favor to others, or even to Allah the Exalted. Instead, they recognize that they themselves are being honored, first by receiving blessings, and then by being given the opportunity to earn reward through helping others. In reality, the one in need does a favor to the giver by accepting their help, as it allows them to gain reward. If no one was in need, how would people attain the rewards mentioned in divine teachings? Reflecting on this protects a person from arrogance, and prevents them from ruining their good deeds through pride or seeking recognition. Finally, helping others is not limited to financial support. It includes fulfilling any lawful need, whether emotional, physical, or practical. Offering comfort, guidance, time, or effort are all forms of support that carry great value. Therefore, no person, regardless of how limited their means may be, is excused from helping others. Everyone has been given something they can offer, and through this, they can fulfill the rights of others while drawing closer to Allah the Exalted, and securing peace and success in both worlds. Another common consequence of ingratitude is the development of greed. When a person forgets that the blessings they possess truly belong to Allah the Exalted, they begin to cling to them selfishly, insisting on using them according to their own desires rather than in the correct manner outlined in Islamic teachings. If this greed is left unchecked, it gradually spreads into other areas of life, corrupting a person's sense of justice and fairness. One of the clearest examples of this is in matters of inheritance. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verses 19 to 20.
And you consume inheritance, devouring it altogether. And you love wealth with immense love.
These verses expose how greed can drive a person to take what does not rightfully belong to them, even when clear boundaries have been set. In modern times, this often appears in the form of legal disputes, where individuals knowingly give false testimony in order to claim wealth or property that belongs to others. In a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2673, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned that the one who bears false witness to unlawfully take the possessions of another will meet Allah, the Exalted, while He is displeased with them. It is important to understand that this ruling applies to the rights of all people, regardless of their background. Justice in Islam is not selective, and violating the rights of any person carries serious consequences. This remains true, even if someone is diligent in other acts of worship, such as performing the obligatory prayers. Unfortunately, this wrongdoing is widespread in many places, where individuals manipulate legal systems through false claims in order to gain wealth or property. According to a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2654, false testimony is counted among the gravest of major sins, placed alongside associating partners with Allah the Exalted and disobedience to parents. This severity is also reflected in the Holy Quran. Chapter 22 Al-Hajj, verse 30.
So avoid the uncleanliness of idols, and avoid false statement.
The seriousness of this sin is further emphasized in a hadith found in Sunan ibn Majah, number 2373, which warns that a person who does not sincerely repent from giving false testimony will not be allowed to move on the Day of Judgment, until they are destined for punishment. In fact, as mentioned in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 353, a person who takes something unlawfully through false testimony may face severe consequences even if the thing taken is as small and insignificant as a twig. The reason this sin is so severe is because it is not a single wrongdoing but a combination of many. It involves lying, injustice, and the violation of another person's rights. The harm done to the victim is especially serious, as it cannot be forgiven by Allah, the Exalted, until the wronged person grants forgiveness. If this does not occur, justice will be established on the Day of Judgment by transferring good deeds from the wrongdoer to the victim, or if necessary, placing the sins of the victim upon the wrongdoer. This has been explained in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 6579, and it may result in a person being cast into hell. In addition, the one who gives false testimony also shares in the sin of the person they are supporting, as they are helping them to commit wrongdoing. This directly contradicts the command of the Holy Quran, which instructs people to support one another in righteousness, and to avoid cooperating in sin. Chapter 5 Al-Ma'idah, verse 2.
And cooperate in righteousness and piety, but do not cooperate in sin and aggression.
Furthermore, any wealth or benefit obtained through such unlawful means becomes corrupted. If a person attempts to use it for good purposes, such as giving charity, it will not be accepted, as Allah the Exalted only accepts what is lawful. This is confirmed in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 2342. In reality, everything done with such unlawful gain will be deprived of blessing and may instead become a source of further sin. For this reason, it is an obligation upon every person to uphold truthfulness in all situations, whether in everyday speech or in formal settings such as court. Lying in any form leads to further wrongdoing, and continued dishonesty eventually defines a person's character. As mentioned in a hadith found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 1971, a person who persists in lying will ultimately be recorded as a habitual liar in the sight of Allah the Exalted. Reflecting on this outcome is enough to make one realize the severe consequences that await those who fail to uphold truth and justice. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verse 20.
And you love wealth with immense love.
Sharing one's blessings with others is a clear sign of sincerity towards them. When a person adopts greed and withholds what they have been granted, such as wealth, time or ability, they prevent themselves from fulfilling the rights of others. This behavior does not remain confined to the individual. Rather, it contributes to the spread of injustice and imbalance within society as a whole. Furthermore, the one who refuses to share what they have been given should reflect on the consequence of their attitude. As warned in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 2376, the one who withholds will find that Allah the Exalted withholds from them. This shows that generosity is not merely a moral quality, but a means of attracting divine support, while stinginess leads to deprivation. The contrast between generosity and stinginess has been clearly explained in a hadith found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 1961. A A generous person is close to Allah, the Exalted, close to paradise, close to people, and far from hell, whereas a stingy person is far from Allah, the Exalted, far from paradise, far from people, and close to hell. This powerful comparison highlights the far-reaching impact of a person's attitude towards their blessings. The generous person uses what they have been given correctly, in accordance with divine guidance. By doing so, they fulfill both the rights of Allah, the Exalted, and the rights of people. This balanced approach naturally leads to stability in their mental and physical state, allowing them to organize their life properly and prepare effectively for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. As a result, they attain tranquility in both worlds. In addition, because they support others and contribute positively to society, they earn the respect, trust, and love of people, while also helping to establish justice and harmony within their community. In contrast, the stingy person fails to fulfill these rights. Their greed drives them to misuse the blessings they have been granted, focusing only on personal gain while neglecting their responsibilities. This leads to imbalance within their life. They lose perspective, misplace priorities, and fail to prepare for what truly matters. Even if they possess material comfort, their inner state is often filled with stress, dissatisfaction, and unrest. Moreover, their behavior negatively affects those around them. By refusing to support others, they contribute to hardship, resentment, and inequality within their home and society. As a result, they are often disliked and distrusted by people, and their actions become a cause of corruption rather than stability. In summary, generosity is not a loss but a source of gain in every sense, spiritually, socially, and personally. Stinginess, on the other hand, is not protection of wealth but a path to loss, both in this world and in the hereafter. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verses 21-23.
No. When the earth has been leveled, pounded and crushed, and your Lord has come and the angels, rank upon rank, and brought within view, that day is hell, that day man will remember, but what good to him will be the remembrance.
People should understand that regret can be divided into two distinct types. The first relates to worldly matters, such as not marrying, not having children, or failing to achieve certain personal ambitions. The second relates to the hereafter, consisting of the regret a person will experience in their grave, and on the Day of Judgment for not using their time, abilities, and blessings in ways that pleased Allah, the Exalted. Worldly regret, regardless of its form, is always temporary. It either disappears when a person attains what they desired, changes their perspective, or ultimately passes away. At most, it lasts until death, and even during that time, it generally results only in emotional discomfort rather than severe consequences. Moreover, if a person attains paradise through the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, all such regrets will completely vanish, leaving no trace behind. In contrast, the regret of the hereafter is far more serious and enduring. The period a person spends in the grave, and on the Day of Judgment, is far longer than their entire life in this world. These regrets may persist for an immense duration, and will not end until a person is admitted into paradise, something that is not guaranteed for everyone, or may be delayed for a very long time. The scale of time itself is beyond human comparison. Chapter 22 Al-Hajj, verse 47.
And indeed a day with your Lord is like 1,000 years of those which you count.
In addition, these regrets are not merely emotional, they carry weighty consequences. They may lead to punishment, hardship, and deep remorse that cannot be undone. A person will clearly recognize the opportunities they wasted, and the good they failed to send forward, yet at that point, no action can be taken to change their outcome. For this reason, a person should reflect carefully and act with wisdom and compassion towards themselves. True care for oneself is not in chasing temporary worldly fulfillment at the expense of what truly matters, but in striving to remove the lasting regrets of the hereafter before they arise. Worldly losses can be tolerated, but the loss of one's hereafter cannot. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verses 23-26.
And brought within view, that day is hell, that day man will remember, but how, i.e., what good to him will be the remembrance? He will say, oh, I wish I had sent ahead some good for my life. So on that day none will punish as severely as his punishment, and none will bind as severely as his binding.
Those who truly recognize the importance of avoiding the lasting regrets of the hereafter will naturally be driven to use the blessings they have been granted in the correct manner, as outlined in Islamic teachings. This conscious effort ensures that they develop a balanced mental and physical state, while also enabling them to place everything and everyone in their life in its proper position. At the same time, it allows them to prepare adequately for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. As a result, this way of living leads to genuine peace of mind in both worlds. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verses 27 to 30.
To the righteous it will be said, O reassured soul, return to your Lord, well pleased and pleasing to him, and enter among my righteous servants, and enter my paradise.
This chapter concludes by reminding people of a profound reality. A person will not attain the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted, which leads to peace of mind in both worlds, until they themselves are pleased with Him and with everything He has decreed for them. This includes situations in which the wisdom may not be immediately apparent. Contentment with divine decree is therefore a cornerstone of inner peace. To reach this level, strong faith is essential. Strong faith anchors a person, ensuring they remain firm in obedience to Allah, the Exalted, in every circumstance, whether in times of ease or hardship. It prevents them from being swayed by changing emotions or conflicting desires, and instead keeps them focused on what is truly beneficial. This strength of faith is not acquired passively. It is developed through learning and acting upon the clear proofs and evidences found in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. These sources repeatedly demonstrate that sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted, leads to stability, clarity, and peace of mind in both worlds. In contrast, the one who neglects to learn and reflect upon these teachings will possess weak faith. Such a person is more likely to abandon obedience whenever it conflicts with their desires, because they fail to recognize the long-term benefit of doing so. They see only the immediate difficulty, not the lasting peace and success that comes from restraint and obedience. Therefore, it is essential for a person to strive for certainty in their faith by combining knowledge with action. This means consistently learning, reflecting, and implementing Islamic teachings in daily life. Through this, they ensure that every blessing they possess is used correctly. As a result, they attain true balance within themselves, organize their lives properly, and secure peace of mind in both this world and the hereafter. Chapter 89 Al-Fajr, verse 30.
And enter my paradise.
Therefore, a person must accept and act upon Islamic teachings for their own benefit, even when these teachings contradict their personal desires. They must conduct themselves like a wise patient who accepts and follows the medical advice of a skilled doctor, knowing that the treatment is ultimately for their well-being, even if it involves bitter medicine or a strict diet. Just as this patient eventually attains good mental and physical health, so too does the person who embraces and implements Islamic teachings. This is because the only one who possesses the complete and perfect knowledge required to ensure that a person achieves a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly places everything and everyone within their life, is Allah, the Exalted. The understanding of the human mind and body possessed by society, despite extensive research, will never be sufficient to achieve this outcome. Human beings cannot resolve every issue a person may face. Their advice cannot shield one from all forms of mental and physical stress, nor can their guidance ensure that a person correctly prioritizes everything and everyone in their life. These limitations arise from restricted knowledge, limited experience, lack of foresight, and the presence of personal biases. Allah, the Exalted, alone possesses perfect knowledge, and He has granted humanity access to this knowledge through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This truth becomes evident when one observes the difference between those who use their blessings according to Islamic teachings and those who do not. The contrast between these two groups is clear in their conduct, their emotional stability, and the outcomes of their choices. Even though patients often do not understand the science behind the medicines they are prescribed, and therefore trust their doctor without full comprehension, Allah, the Exalted, does not expect people to follow Islam blindly. Instead, He invites them to reflect upon its teachings so that they may recognize its truthfulness and appreciate its positive effects on their lives. He calls people to approach Islam with insight, not imitation. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, "This is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me."
In addition, as Allah the Exalted alone controls the spiritual hearts of people, the true abode of peace of mind, He alone determines who attains tranquility and who does not. Chapter 53 and Najm, verse 43.
And that it is He who makes one laugh and weep.
It is therefore clear that Allah the Exalted grants peace of mind only to those who use the blessings He has given them in the correct manner, as outlined in Islamic teachings. Those who live according to divine guidance attain clarity, balance, and inner stability, while those who misuse their blessings fall into confusion, imbalance, and distress. True peace, mental, physical, and spiritual, comes only from living according to the wisdom revealed by Allah the Exalted, and from recognizing that His guidance is the only path that leads to tranquility in both worlds. Chapter 16 and Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may peace and blessings be upon His final messenger, Muhammad, his noble family and companions.